Good morning, everyone. This is George Burnell. I have the honor this morning of presenting to you Christine Muir, who is the Community Librarian for Cary Memorial Library. She and I have been working closely together for a number of years. She does a wonderful job scheduling our speakers, introducing them, taking care of them, making sure all the electronics work at the library. And she's going to today introduce us to all of the resources that Kerry has that we can use today in this period of time when we can't leave our houses and we can't physically attend the library. Christine has seen to it that the community has access to the library, that they have programs that are productive and useful, and I'm sure you will go away much pleased in an hour and a half. Christine, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me today. As George said, I'm the community librarian at Cary Library. I've been there almost 3 years. My third anniversary is next month. I love being in this job. This is a wonderful opportunity for me. Before I came to Cary, I was working in public relations for a while. I've also been a tech writer for Progress Software, and I've done QA and tech support for internet service providers and the first cable modem company back in the day. So my job at Cary involves, as George said, planning and hosting different programs. I work on the reference desk regularly, so some of you may have seen me there. And I do some community outreach. So this presentation that I'm giving today, I've given at the Community Center and Brookhaven as well. So hopefully I will remember everything and present it clearly. I'm happy to take some questions. There are points where I want to be able to finish my thoughts so I don't lose track of where I am, but there are natural breaking points where I'll check for questions, and I'm happy to answer whatever I can and get back to you if I don't have an answer today. So with that, I'm sharing my iPad screen here, and what I have open is the library's website with the lovely blatant library closed due to emergency notice. Often what you'll see in that area are notices for different programs that we might be offering, or tools that we're trying to promote a little bit. So that's our billboard area with kind of new notices. I'm going to show you 3 different areas of the website today, one of which delves into some apps, which is why I'm using the iPad so that I can show you what the apps look like. And we do have tutorials for all of the apps on our YouTube channel. So if you look in the top right-hand corner of our website, there's a YouTube icon here. And if you click on that, it takes you to our YouTube channel where we've got some tutorials for downloading the apps that I'm going to talk about. So the first thing I'll show you is under the Collections and Resources menu. We've added this Cary at Home page, which lists a lot of resources that you can access in today's current situation, even when you can't go out. So there's some information here about the library status and what's happening with library materials. If you ever have any questions during this time or any time, there's this Ask a Librarian link, which lets you send email to a team of us who respond to those daily. So that's a good way to get in touch with us when we're not in the building. And then if we go down a little further to this resources section, we've got a Cary at Home page for kids, for teens, and for adults. And I'm going to click on the adult resources and show you, this is a list of things that you can do when you're at home. So Broadway is putting some shows online. You can stream classical music. There are experiments that you can do at home, free books and audiobooks, online learning. Down here, we've got some virtual museum exhibits. So there's a lot of people putting their material out online so you can still get to it without leaving your home or without going to their physical space. So this is a nice resource page for things like that. And if you've come up with other things that are free, you can send them to me and we can add them to this list so that people have access to it the whole time that they're stuck at home.
Do you share this with other libraries which are presumably doing the same kind of thing?
There is a conversation through email with other libraries in the state that are all sharing different resources and ideas. So some of these links have come from other libraries and we've contributed to that conversation too. So there is a little bit of collaboration in that sense. So the next thing I'm going to show you under collections and resources is ebooks and digital media. Okay, so these are all of the tools that we have that will give you access to ebooks, digital audiobooks, music, movies, TV, and comic books. You can click on any of these links to go to the website, to sign up for an account, to create your account, but a lot of them are accessed through an app on a mobile device. So I'm going to show you the apps for each of these different tools. But it's good to know that this page is here. So if you'd rather create your account through a browser, or if you want a link to a help page, then those are all on this page here.
Christine,
and I will point out, oh, sorry, go ahead.
excuse me, I'm sorry. Are all of these resources free? Or will you
Yes,
some of them that are not free if they're available?
everything is free.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's the value of your library. So I'm not going to show you everything on this page just out of consideration for time, but once you have a sense of how to download and install an app, then you can translate that knowledge to some of these other tools. So I'm not going to go into Naxos today, but if you're comfortable with downloading an app and navigating it, you can still get to this just using that knowledge. I'm also not going to open up some of these aggregators. There's a couple of aggregator databases on this page, specifically this news from Gale One file, and up at the top, the Gale Virtual Reference Library. These are similar to the databases that I'll show you in the next section of my presentation. So you can, again, translate that knowledge to these tools as well. And the other thing I want to point out down here, at the bottom of this page, there's a link to the Boston Public Library. Anyone who lives or works in Massachusetts can get a BPL e-card, which gives you access to all of their resources and content as well. So you can click on this link here. It just asks you a few different questions, name, address, a couple other things, maybe email address, and it will send you an email with an e-card. You create a PIN, and then you can go to BPL's website to look at their databases, or you can sign into some of the same apps using that card. And I'll point this all out again, but it gives you additional borrows to some of the apps that have limits. And I'll give more detail when I get into the different apps. But this BPL e-card is a very valuable tool as well. So now I'm going to switch over to the apps. And I'm going to start with Libby. So you'll notice here, there's an app called Libby, and right underneath it is called Overdrive. These apps come from the same company. Libby is the second version of their app, and it's a much better user interface. If you've been using Overdrive and you're comfortable with it, stay there. But if you don't like Overdrive, or if you're new to the whole situation, I recommend Libby because the interface is just much easier. Overdrive always logs me out and I always have trouble logging back in. So I think Libby is a little more stable too. So that's why I recommend starting there if you haven't done anything else already. So when you open up Libby, Libby gives you access to ebooks, digital audiobooks, and magazines. And again, the tutorial for downloading and installing this app is on our YouTube channel. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the app right now so you can see the content and know how to use it when you're ready to. Let's see. So when you first open up Libby, this is what it looks like. At the top left corner, you can search for a book, and you can type in a title, an author, or a keyword. You can see right here that it puts in some of the most recent searches that have been done on this app. And everything I show you today will be pretty eclectic because this is the iPad we keep at the reference desk. So it's what we use for in-person tutorials or testing things out. So there's a wide range of materials that have been checked out on this device.
Does it tend to have new books or new movies?
Yes. Yep. So you can enter in any search term here, and then if we click on one, it shows you the results. And this one here in the top left corner, you'll see a little earbud symbol under the cover of the book. That means it's an audio book. So anything that doesn't have that symbol is just an ebook. That's how you can distinguish the two. Within the app, you can change the preferences here. So if you prefer audiobooks or only ebooks, you can make that selection here. Once you apply the preferences, all of your future searches use those same filters. So if you only want to listen to digital audiobooks, you can set that preference and keep it and only see digital audiobooks within Libby. From this main screen, again, they usually have some kind of a broadcast up here. So this You Don't Look Autistic is a book that's free to everybody right now. It's kind of a one book, one community, or whatever those are called, where everybody's reading the same book. So this is one where Libby is trying to promote this book as something that a bunch of people can read together and then talk about it offline. They've also made all the Harry Potter books free right now, so it doesn't count toward your totals. Within Libby, you can borrow 10 books at a time, and you can have 10 holds at a time. So these don't count towards those numbers at the moment.
What determines?
I started to hear a question. I can come back to it though. There's more browsing here as you scroll through the screen. You can set up to read with a Kindle all the time. You can browse what's new or popular or available. The Libby content works the same as print materials. So we purchase a certain number of copies, and when those are all checked out, a wait list is established. So you may have to wait for materials in Libby. So that's why the available category is kind of helpful, because if you want something right now, you can just search what's available. You can also search for magazines, you can browse by genre, and this goes on and on. Down here at the bottom is the primary navigation for Libby. The library link brings you back to this place here where we are, where you can search for something. The shelf link on the right is kind of like your bookshelf, like if you were at home. So it'll list your loans and your holds and anything you've tagged. So anything that I've got out right now shows up under loans, and I can either open the book from here, or I can manage the loan, which is a way for renewing or returning early. The holds section shows you anything you have on hold. And what's kind of nice about Libby is that it will tell you the approximate wait time. So you might have to wait 3 weeks for Swamplandia or 10 weeks for the 100,000 Kingdoms. It's an estimate, but it helps you have a sense of what might come sooner rather than later. Tags is something that not a lot of people use, but it's a way that you can mark a title as something you've already read, something you've liked, something you want to read, something you hated. So you can create your own tags and use those to create lists of your materials. And my favorite part about Libby is this button in the middle at the bottom of the screen. Right now it has the Libby logo inside it. But if you're in the middle of a book, whether it's an audiobook or an ebook, this acts like a bookmark. So when you click on this circle, it brings you right back to where you last were on a particular item. So that's the fastest way to just go back to where you were. So that's Libby. Any questions about that?
Yeah. Will the overdrive password and log on work for Libby?
That's a very good question that nobody's asked me before. I think that it should. If it doesn't, then you would just go through the process of reestablishing an account within Libby, where it would just ask for your library card number and to create a PIN. But I would think that the login should work because it's from the same company, so the back end should be the same. John?
When you take out a book, so to speak, is there a limited amount of time, like 3 weeks, that you get it for?
Yes. So they go out for 3 weeks. Magazines go out for 1 week. And when you go to borrow an item, it will tell you how long you can have it out for. So I'm just going to pick an available book. This is why the iPad is so eclectic, because I'm just going to borrow something. So it will ask you here, or it'll tell you here at the top, how many days you're borrowing it for. So this one goes out for 14 days. It has my library
card in it?
I'm sorry?
Since I have a library card that I got through Lexington Library, I assume it has my library card in the system somehow?
When you download the app, it will ask you to put in your library card number, and then it validates your account and lets you move forward with the app.
Charles had a question too.
No, she answered my question.
Perfect. So I'm going to go on to the next app, which is called Hoopla. And this is really an introduction to the different apps. You're more than welcome to ask more questions through the Ask a Librarian or to me directly, or when the library is open by calling us or stopping in at the reference desk. But I just wanted you to have a sense of what kinds of content we're offering you at no charge without having to leave your home. So it's a very quick overview. But a lot of it's pretty easy to get the hang of it once you start using it. So Hoopla offers ebooks, digital audiobooks, movies, TV shows, and music. Hoopla does not have the same content as Libby, and there's a difference in what kind of content we can get through Hoopla. The library can purchase particular titles through Libby, and we have some control over curating that content, but Hoopla's collection is already defined, and we just sort of belong to it. I use Hoopla a lot for music because they tend to have really new stuff, and I don't buy a lot of music. I just want to listen to something on occasion. So in this case, I'm actually signed into the Boston Public Library account. Cary Library offers you 3 checkouts per month. BPL gives you 10 checkouts per month, but they've upped it to 12 during this quarantine stay-at-home period. So there's a little bit extra right now. And during this period, Hoopla has a bonus borrows collection, which is not there. I have to remember where to find that. But those are borrows that don't count against your limit. The main navigation bar for Hoopla is across the bottom here. So my Hoopla is where we are right now, and it shows you what's currently checked out or recently returned. The next link is for video, and it will let you browse movies or television, and it shows you what's popular, recommended, or featured. So it will recommend things based on what you've already borrowed, and it will feature things that might be new or that they think people would be interested in, just what they're kind of promoting. If you click on the genres link in the top right-hand corner, That's where you're going to get to the bonus borrows, or where you can narrow it down by a particular category or genre. So you can just pick Art House Classics and it will show you those. Music, which is the middle link in the bottom navigation, is set up the same way. Genres in the top right corner, popular, recommended, and featured in the middle here. And they do have pretty current stuff, because you can see right here, Frozen 2, Hamilton, and The Greatest Showman are all pretty new and pretty popular items. So Hoopla has a pretty good collection of content. And Books is set up the same way, except BPL does not offer audiobooks through Hoopla, so you can't see anything here. But if I click on Comics or eBooks, you will see some content there. So if you like digital audiobooks, you should log in through Kerry to borrow those. But if you want something else, you can go in through BPL, and that's how you can maximize the borrows per month. Same as with Libby, when you go to check something out, it will tell you how long you're borrowing it for, and all of these items automatically return. Two benefits to Hoopla are that everything is always available. So that's a difference from Libby. It doesn't matter, we can all borrow the same item at the same time, no limits. And Hoopla content can be downloaded, so you can access it if you're not on a Wi-Fi or data connection, which is kind of a benefit if for some reason you were going to get on a plane, or if you were taking a walk in the neighborhood or something and you wanted to listen, you wouldn't have to worry about a connection. And the last piece in the Hoopla navigation is in the bottom left corner, there's a search button, which just brings you to a search box like all the other tools have, and also the trending searches. Any questions on Hoopla? Okay, perfect. I will show you Canopy. So Canopy offers independent films, documentaries, and great courses. You can borrow 3 items per calendar month, and I believe BPL also offers Canopy, but I don't remember off the top of my head what their limits are with it. The navigation is set up similar to Netflix or Amazon Prime, where you've got a horizontal listing of titles within particular categories. And again, Canopy is offering some free content during this period. So all of these credit-free viewing titles don't count against the number of borrows per month. And you can see in the top right-hand corner here, the 3 within a box, that tells me how many borrows I have left in this calendar month. But anything in this top row isn't going to count towards that. And you can scroll up and to the side. So here's the great courses. Doesn't have all the great courses, but there are quite a few here. So that's kind of fun to explore. Again, like Hoopla, the navigation is across the bottom of the screen. So right now we're at the home screen, but there's a browse screen, which just lists the categories for you. And when you click into any of them, you get the same sort of navigation as the home screen. There's a search button, just like all the others. You can choose what kind of search based on these headings across the bottom of the search screen. So videos, subjects, people, companies. So if you wanted to look for a particular director or actor, I think that's what you'd find under people. You can also create your own lists in Canopy. You can do this in Libby with the tags, and you can do this in Hoopla with the favorites. In Canopy, you can just add something to your watch list, and then you can access the lists through this link at the bottom of the screen. And more just gives you account settings and going to Canopy Kids and things like that. Any questions on Canopy?
I have a question. Can these movies be streamed to a TV, or can they only be streamed to your device?
They can be streamed to a TV. You can see on my iPad, there's a rectangle in the top right-hand corner with kind of that Wi-Fi signal coming out of it next to the 3. I have Chromecast, so this would cast to my TV. We don't necessarily have the knowledge of how all the different TVs work, like Apple TV or the Firefox, the Fire Stick thing, or the smart TVs. But if you know how your TV works, you can send this content to the TV. And most of the providers have pretty good help files on how to send it to different TVs. So Canopy knows how your Apple TV or smart TV works, and we can help you find those help files.
Very good, thank you.
Of course.
I have a question. Can you put the app on your TV and see it directly rather than from an iPad, iPhone transmitted over?
If your TV lets you do that, I believe that you can. I don't have a TV with that capacity, but I think that if you, like, I think Apple TV lets you do that. So if you can access an app store from your TV, then yes, you would just follow the same process of downloading the app and setting up your account and just do it on the TV rather than your device.
Thank you.
Of course.
Christine, it's my understanding that with projecting from your iPad, whatever, with Canopy and the others, you need a Bluetooth television and do that. So that, you know, there may be some technical restrictions. Also, people who want to stream from their iPad to the television, understand your TV is much lower resolution in general, iPad device. So it's not going to look as good.
And in the chat window, I see here that there's a Canopy channel on Roku, and Apple TV's recent editions have iOS app capabilities. So those two would definitely work for bringing the apps down. But that's a good point about resolution too. All of these apps can also be accessed through a browser. So you can watch something on a desktop or a laptop if that screen's a better size for you. And the links from our website will go to the browser, you know, the website for the different content providers. So I have one more app to show you, and then I'm going to get into some databases. And the last app is Acorn TV. So Acorn TV is a little bit more complex than the others. The others are very straightforward, one-step, download, install, create an account, you're ready to go. Acorn TV is a little bit different because it's a product offered by RB Digital. And you can see on my screen right now, there's an app on the right side that's a red square with the RB initials in it. RB Digital is the parent company of Acorn TV. So in order to create an account for Acorn TV, you first need an RB Digital account. So it's the same process, it's just that you have to do two instead of one. You download and install the RB Digital app and create an account there. And once you've done that and you open it up, you'll have this option for Acorn TV. If you click on this without having installed the app, it will ask you to install that app. But since I already have it installed, I'll just bring it up and show you. So this is the Acorn TV app. The navigation is very similar to all the other tools. It has some highlights up here at the top that keep changing. It's got the horizontal navigation with different titles under different categories, and you can scroll up to find more categories. Acorn TV also works differently in terms of how much you can borrow. Within one calendar month, you can check out 3 7-day passes. A 7-day pass gives you unlimited access for 7 days. And then at the end of the 7 days, you just have to go back to RB Digital to check out a new pass.
How do the contents of things like Acorn compare to, say, Netflix and Amazon that many of us probably already have?
So I haven't done that specific comparison, but Acorn TV is focused on British television and movies. So that's one of our most popular DVD collections, and that's why we decided to purchase this streaming collection too, because it gives more access. There's also no waiting on this, just like with Hoopla, so everything's always available to everyone. So I can't compare specific titles to Amazon and Netflix, but the focus of this is British television and films.
I understand that there's something called BritBox, and I'm wondering if you had evaluated, the library had evaluated BritBox, comparing it to Acorn, and decided on the latter.
We didn't, but I don't know if BritBox is available to libraries to offer in this kind of a sense. Like, we can't get an Amazon subscription and share that out with all of our card holders, but things like Acorn TV and Hoopla and Libby are specifically designed for libraries to be able to share that content with everybody who has a card there. Acorn TV's primary navigation, again, like the others, is across the bottom. So in the middle of the screen at the bottom, there's a search button, brings up your typical search box. And at the right on the bottom is My Acorn TV. So that's where you can see what you've recently watched, or you can add content to a list, just like with Canopy. Are there any other questions about any of these apps? Okay. So I will show you some of the databases that we have through our website.
There, Christine, I had a question. Sorry.
Yes.
I've logged into my account on Hoopla and looked for a book, and it says it's the Boston Public Library that the book is coming from. Is that
Okay.
that's the deal?
That's legit. It means that you have a Boston Public Library e-card, and that's how you're logged into Hoopla right now. And that's what I do too, because it gives you more checkouts a month than Kerry can offer.
Well, I don't need a lot of checkouts, but I've been trying to get a book and I can't. I mean, it doesn't seem to be in the ebook. I was trying to get Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I get a 3-week wait if I do it through Libby.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, I can go to BPL and get it, and I can't. It doesn't seem to be there.
Oh. I know.
There's a lot of cliff notes.
So not every book is necessarily available in all of the different content providers. Excuse me. Let's see here.
Charlie, read the cliff notes. Come on.
So, oh yeah, that's a book analysis. Yep, you're right. So they only have the Cliff Notes or study guide types of things. I don't remember my Cary library. Well, actually, yes, I do, I think. Let's see, if I log out and sign back in, oh, but I don't want to broadcast that. We could see if it has the audio version in Hoopla. But then you'd have to listen to it as opposed to looking for it.
I know how to read.
It is possible that not every title is available electronically. So that's a decision that publishers make when they create a book. Not every book gets published in an e-format, and not every book gets published in an audio format or a digital audio format. So it is very possible that you'll run across content that you can't get, unfortunately.
Well, Libby has an e-format book that just got a 3-week hold.
Okay.
I was trying to get around that. I was surprised that BPL
well, so actually there is a way to get around that. This is a little more advanced, but we'll try this. So I'm looking in Libby, and if I click on the top right-hand screen, the icon, it opens up this column on the right here, and we can search in other library networks.
Oh.
So let's see. That's not what I want to do. You have to add a library, and so let's search the Clams network.
There it is. Right at the top.
Title. So you can get this through the Clams network. see how it says borrow and the version on the right here?
Right, right,
The title on the left is audio, but
right.
the one on the right is text.
And
So
is-
what I did is
Yeah.
I clicked on the Libby icon in the top right.
Uh-huh,
I clicked add a library.
uh-huh.
I chose the Clams network, which I just picked randomly, but you could pick Merrimack Valley or any other.
Mhm.
Search for the title. And if it comes up and says borrow, you can borrow it with your Minuteman card. So
This
there
is
you
why
go.
you should always talk to your librarian.
You should always ask the library first.
Thank you.
You're welcome, of course. Enjoy the book.
Okay.
I
Okay.
gather that you and the other librarians are continuing to work during the pandemic.
We are all working from home to the extent
I
that we
hope you're
can.
being
There's
paid.
some work we can't do, obviously, but we are answering emails. We are doing professional development. We are creating some tools and documents and things that we don't have as much time to work on when we're in the building. But yeah, we're all staying busy in our own separate spaces. Yeah. So the browser, so we're going to go back to the library's website. And again, this collections and resources menu. And this time I'm going to choose online resources, which is just below the ebooks menu. And when you come to online resources, this is going to give you content that's not ebooks and digital media. So this has a lot of databases where if you wanted to research something, you can enter some search terms in here and maybe find some academic journals or popular journals or other databases and encyclopedias that will give you more information about your subject. And we do have a link to the BPL e-card again here because BPL offers additional databases that you can access if you have the e-card. So when you scroll down this page a little bit, there are two different ways to navigate this page. The first is by topic, which can be very useful if you don't know the specific tool that's going to have the information that you want, but you just know generally that you want to search something in the health field or education or languages. So the topical collection is very helpful. And at the bottom, you can also search alphabetically. That's also really useful, but if it's separated in chunks, obviously. So if you wanted to find consumer reports, you have to go through the middle of resources A to F. That can be a little tedious. But it is there if you know the specific content that you're looking for. So a couple of things I want to highlight in databases. And again, all of this content is free if you have a library card. So there's a lot of different things here, and I would encourage you to explore all the different topics, but just to give you a sense of what we have. Under consumer, we have consumer reports. There are a couple other aggregate databases again in here, but consumer reports is one of the most popular that we get asked for. And you'll see that there's an asterisk after the title Consumer Reports Online. That asterisk means it's only available to Lexington residents. I don't know if anybody called in today is not from Lexington, but there are certain databases and tools that we pay for out of our budget specifically, which comes from your tax dollars. So we limit the access to those of you who are actually paying for it in that way. And the same is true with Canopy and Acorn TV and Hoopla. Those are available to Lexington residents unless you get the BPL card, and then you can get through it that way. So when we click on consumer reports, it will ask you for your library card number before it opens this page, but I logged in ahead of time just so that I wouldn't have to enter my library card number publicly. So this is the home page of consumer reports. It's got that standard search box at the top. It has all the same content that comes out in the print magazine, but it's just formatted differently. So you can read the highlighted article at the top or whatever other titles they're highlighting. You can also come down a little bit more and find the product reviews. So this is sort of like the buying index that they have. You can click on the washing machines and it will bring up the subcategories, and you can read the recommended brands as well. So this is kind of handy and something we get asked for a lot. And the car information is on here too. I know a lot of people like the April edition with the car reviews. You can get that online too. The next thing that I want to show you is history and genealogy is something that's very popular in our audience again. People ask a lot for being able to do family research. We have access to Ancestry and Family Search and American Ancestors. And there are also some other databases in here. So if you wanted to research historical information like fashion, costume, and culture, or global issues, those again are aggregate databases where you'll get a search box at the top and you can enter in whatever topic you're interested in and find resources from multiple outlets. The other one that we get asked about a lot on this one is Jstor, which is in another category as well. Jstor is an online archive of scholarly articles in the humanities and social sciences. So we've had people come in doing research for psychology classes or anthropology or sociology, and Jstor is a great resource for that too. And again, when you click on any of these, it's going to ask you for your library card number before you get to the actual website. But I had already logged in ahead of time. So Jstor has the search box. It also has a browsing menu. And I don't know what all the different tools do, but you can explore through that. We usually point people in the direction of where to find the information, and then they kind of do what they need to do within it.
Christine,
Yes.
just a quick question. It appears that logging in with my BPL e-card is a better first try than using my Lexington library credentials. Is that a true statement?
When logging into what?
The databases and Hoopla and all the other resources that you talked about.
Well, with the apps I showed you before, BPL does offer more checkouts, but I don't remember if they offer all of them. I don't remember if they offer Canopy, for example, and I don't think they offer Acorn TV. So
I understand those.
I'm
I
sorry?
understand the ones that the libraries, that you guys in the library have bought, so that they're available to us. But these other more generic things, it sounds like the BPL login is gives you a little more latitude.
With some things, yes, it does.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Sure. I wouldn't say it's across the board though, because I don't know that they offer all of the same content. So that's the difference, is just evaluating what the content is that you're looking for and then trying both to see which one, gives you what you need. So I don't know specifically what online databases BPL has. I haven't done a comparison of that, but there will be some overlap and there will be some differences. So the next one I wanted to show you is newspapers. In this last section of topics, there's magazines and journals and newspapers and current events. So magazines and journals will bring you to a lot of those aggregate databases, mostly from Gale, and that's a way of searching multiple sources for one topic. So if you wanted to do more research on the 3D printing that George talked about last week, you might want to go to one of these aggregators, search 3D printing, and it will pull stuff from multiple outlets. You can see in the description for Academic One File, it talks about pulling content from NPR, CNN, and the CBC. So you're searching multiple outlets with one tool, which can be useful. And there's quite a few here. Again, this is where Jstor shows up again. And then there's a Gale database for popular magazines. So that would be things that are more mainstream rather than academic. So things like Time and Newsweek would probably come up in here, and different newspapers as well. But what I want to show you specifically are some of the newspapers that you can read online. We have a lot of people who come into the library to read the Globe or the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. You can also access those without coming into the building. So I'll show you the Boston Globe first. You can search within the Boston Globe, and some of the other newspapers work the same way. You can put into this search box any term that you want to search. If you want to find all the articles about COVID-19 or COVID-19 vaccine or a particular company that might be doing some work in this field, you can just enter that into the search box right up here. I'm just going to put some letters in so you can see where the search box is. And you can use the drop-down menu to pick where you want the content to appear or the search term. So if you only want it to be in the heading because it's really important and the focus of the article, you can indicate that here. Or if you're looking for all the articles by a particular author, if you like a particular writer from the Globe, you can search for all of their content by putting their name in here and then choosing author from the drop-down. If you just wanted to read everything that was in today's paper, for instance, it's a little bit cumbersome, but you can get to it. You would click this publications link at the top of the menu here, and you get 3 options. You want to click the first one, and it will tell you here, latest available issue, and it says April 8, 2020. So if you click on the date, it will bring up all of the articles that were in today's paper. It's not formatted the same way that today's print edition comes out, but it does give you the content. Doesn't include images, and it doesn't include the advertising. So if you were interested in kind of a cultural assessment of today, you wouldn't get some of that additional content, but you get the articles that are out there if you just want to be keeping up on the news without having the subscription to the paper. And if you click on any title, it will bring up the full text for you. And you can just read that online. You can also save these as PDFs, or you can email it or print it using these green buttons at the left side here. You can also pick a different date. So if we went back to the publication information, you can, if you scroll down and it says browse specific issues, you can search by year and then by month and by date. So if you missed yesterday's paper or last Wednesday's paper, you can navigate through here to get to that. You can also read the New York Times from the library with no charge. There are quite a few New York Times options here because of the way they sell it to us as a library. So there's a database with 1985 to present, the book review. If you want to read this outside the library, you want to choose New York Times Home Access. And when you click on that, you're going to get this screen here, which is offering you a special edition. It's basically the way that you get the free copy from the library. It already populates the code in here, so you just click the redeem button and it will ask you to create an account with your email address and a password. And when you do that, it will bring you to the New York Times in this format, which looks a little more like the actual print paper. So you will get some images. Don't think you get the ads. I think you just get some of the images with different articles. But it looks a little more like your print paper, and you can click on any of the headings to get the full article. And you can see the paper, the issue right here. When you set up an account with the New York Times, it keeps you logged in for 3 days at a time. So if I go back in tomorrow, it just keeps me logged in and I don't have to redeem that code. But after 3 days, I would get that redeem code again. And that's how I would get continued access for another 3 days.
Christine?
Yes.
Does this also work on smartphones?
Yes, I'm using this on an iPad, and it would be the same on a cell phone. I just can't read that screen anymore.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Too small.
Yep, thanks.
This also works on a browser, so you can do this from a laptop or a desktop, or you can do it on a mobile device. And the last one I want to show you is the Wall Street Journal, which works the same as the Boston Globe. You can see it's from the same provider, ProQuest. The interface looks exactly the same here. And you can do the same thing. You can either search for a particular topic or author, or you can click on publications and read the most current issue. Again, when you get the multiple choices, pick the first one, and you'll see latest available issue, today's date. And when you click on that, you get the same look as the Boston Globe. And clicking on any heading will give you the full text of the article. So that's the databases, newspapers specifically. The other thing I wanted to mention is with the BPL card, you do have access to lynda.com, which has some professional development kinds of training opportunities. I think it was purchased by LinkedIn a couple of years ago. So BPL has set up a relationship with them and offers that. And a lot of the individual community libraries are not offering it anymore. But with the BPL e-card, you can still get to that. And I just want to remind you again that we do have tutorials for the newspapers and all of the apps on our YouTube channel, which is connected to the website in the top right corner there. The other social media outlets that we have have a lot of updates from the library, either different ideas of things to do or things we've added, or just updates in general. And the other way you can stay in touch with the library is by signing up for our newsletter. If you go back to the home page and scroll to the bottom, there's a Kerry News box down here. And if you enter in your email address, we'll send you our newsletter. We generally send it out twice a month, just with upcoming programs and just general information about the library. In this period, we've been sending it out every Friday just because there's a lot of new information coming out and new content being offered and different things like that. So this is a way to stay in touch with what we're doing. And again, right now it's more than usual because it's every Friday, but generally it's only twice a month. And you can unsubscribe at any time if you feel like you're coming back in and getting information again. I see a question here in the chat about the Washington Post. We don't currently have a subscription to it online, but we are working on it. Are there any other questions?
Sure. I have a copy of the Downton Abbey movie waiting on the reserve shelf and no way to get at it. Is there a way just to type in the name of a movie and find it online with this library setup that you have?
Yep, so that's a good question. The library's catalog does have some links to Canopy, Hoopla, and Libby content. So you can search the library's catalog. You can do it just from the top right-hand corner of our website. Is it just called the Downton Abbey movie, or does it have another title? You're muted, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's easy to get tied up in the series.
It's Downton, not downtown.
Yeah,
Thank you. It auto-corrected on me, I think.
Abbey.
Well,
Downton Abbey.
Personally, I go for the cocktail bowl.
Right. So let's see if we can find, so on the left-hand side here, there's a filter column. So it will let you filter by format. So I'm going to click digital video. And then it's going to narrow down.
I think it was right down the first one.
Well, that's the Manners of Downton Abbey, which I don't think is the movie that was in theaters. So it doesn't look like that's been released in a digital format, at least yet. But you can see here that this does show you Canopy content, Hoopla content, It doesn't look like it lists Acorn TV, but we can open that app and we can look in here and see if we can find it. And this didn't autocorrect for me. So it's not currently available as a digital video, I'm sorry.
Okay, can I break into the library and get my?
No, but if I hear of an opportunity for people to pick things up, I will let you know.
Thank you.
Of course. And we are holding things for people for some period of time, even after the library opens. So I'm seeing some other questions here. What about newspapers.com? We don't have newspapers.com, but we do have Newsbank. So let me go back to that. Let's see, newspapers. So Newsbank has some newspaper access. It's not necessarily the same content as newspapers.com, but you could search in here and you might be able to find something. It has a lot of local smaller town papers, so you could search in here. It's a little bit slow. It's one of the slower websites, but within this page here, you would click America's News Magazines, and then it would let you search from there. So here you can enter in a keyword or a name in that search box. And I think advanced search will let you limit by publication too. So if you knew that an obituary was published in a local Florida paper and you knew the name of the paper, you can go into the advanced search and enter in more specific information.
So,
other questions?
Different question.
Yeah.
You may have answered this and I missed it, but you know, Ancestry.com is only available in the library. So is that true still?
No, because of the current situation, Ancestry has actually made their content available outside of the library. So you may need to go in through our website because they may recognize that portal specifically, but you can get to Ancestry without being in the building right now.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Of course. Anything else people want to know about or any other questions?
Christine, some of our club members are so old that they are actually in Ancestry.
How about people search? Just looking for someone, long lost classmate, don't know where they went in the United States. Is there a facility for that?
Let me think.
An observation about that is that, of course, White Pages is free, but a number of the other search engines for people, you think they're free as you start going through filling out the forms, and then eventually it says, I found the person, and for $17.95, we'll be happy to send you the report.
Right. There is some kind of a time limit where certain information isn't published until a person's been deceased for a certain amount of time. And I don't remember the specifics, but I would think your best bet for searching for a person now would be possibly to search their name within quotes in the Newsbank, because if you put it in quotes, it will find both words together, as opposed to finding everybody with the first name Jonathan and everybody with the last name Good. It will combine them to only find the pair. You could also search Family Search or Ancestry, but I don't know how much detail would be available if the person's still living. And of course, the free searches. And for something like that, even a general Google search, again, using the quotes might be helpful.
Christine, I've actually done searches for people on Google, and this goes back many years when Google just started. But what you have to do on Google is you have to really add other kinds of information that you know about the person to narrow it down.
Right.
You don't always get it, but it was surprising. I actually did this last week. I looked for somebody I hadn't from high school, and I'd lost touch with that person. And once I put all this information in, it actually showed me the what was known about that person, at least at that time.
It's definitely helpful. Using quotes to contain the name as a solid phrase is a good first step. But if it brings up a lot of results and it doesn't seem to be bringing you where you want to go, you could also add a town name or the state or something, you know, the high school name. If you add anything that's more than one word, I would also put that in quotes so that it sees that as a full search term, as opposed to, you know, if you put in Pittsfield High School without quotes, it's going to find everything with high school too, and that's not going to be helpful.
So I found a good site called Family Tree Now that you can locate people. It actually shows their addresses, their phones, their relatives. It's free. You can find people that aren't paying their debts and so on. It's sort of scary that you can get for free. I posted it in the chat.
Okay.
So another question, Christine, when we sign up for these apps, how much spam are we opening ourselves to?
So sometimes I get emails reminding me when a pass is about to expire or an item's going to be returned. But I think all of them give you the choice of not getting notifications. So you shouldn't be overwhelmed by any kind of email. It's usually very relevant to your account. I haven't gotten any marketing spam from any of them.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was really thinking about.
Yep.
Hey, Mitch, I didn't see the post you just mentioned in the chat window. Did you show you?
You just put it in a couple of seconds ago.
Oh, there it is.
Aha. Thank
Anything else you want to know about? Any other questions?
Christine, I have a question.
Sure.
I had requested a book from, and it was the only one available in any of the library systems, and Jean Williams was incredible, and she found it for me. Now, the library UMass Amherst was not willing to send it to me directly, but she got it through to Kerry by library-to-library connection. Now, it might be at Cary Library right now. I don't think it's available electronically. Is there any way for me to just, pick it up outside or something like that?
So at the moment, we're not doing any kind of pickup at all. And that's largely because of the governor's order for people not to be working if they're not an essential business. We're not going to discuss whether or not libraries are essential. But I would say
Clearly they are.
I would argue they are. If you want to know if we are ever going to offer a pickup during this period, I would suggest signing up for the newsletter, because I think that's the best way to know right away what the opportunities are. I haven't heard of anything at the moment, but I've also subscribed to the newsletter in case it comes out there first.
Okay, great, thank you.
Of course. I'm happy to answer general library questions too, if there's anything else that people want to ask.
I was wondering about the Dropbox, and we were asked not to put things in it, but before I did that, before I got that notice, I had returned my stuff. And so is anybody processing that?
One of our custodians is in the building on occasion and is emptying the book drop and is putting materials aside so that they're not, contaminating anything else, just in case that's a possibility. But we're asking people not to fill up the book drops just because it creates more work for that custodian who's in there. And there are other things. They've been sanitizing the building. The custodians are shared among multiple town buildings. So it just helps them out not to be overwhelmed with all of the materials being returned.
Well, I would have kept them, but
no worries. If it's already there, it's already there.
Until you see the overdue fine, Charlie.
So it is very likely that you've returned it and it hasn't been checked in yet. And so it will still show up as being out on your account. But we have suspended all fines until at least the end of May, I think, and possibly later. So no fines. And if one slips through the cracks, we will waive it later.
Okay, I trust you.
And it's on record, so you can hold me to it. So there's a question about, is there a sign on the book drop saying not to use them? I'm not sure. There might be, but I haven't even been to the building, so I don't know that for sure. How can people contact me after this meeting? So you can use the Ask a Librarian form on our website, or you can send an email to askkerry@minlib.net. I'm looking for that. There's under services, Ask a Librarian, there's a form that you can fill out. There are 5 of us who are on the team answering these questions, and I'm one of the 5. So you could address it to me specifically if you wanted to, or anybody who answers it is, has the same knowledge that I do, so would be able to help you. You can also just send an email, like I said, to askkerry@minlib.net, and I'll just type that in here so you can see it. askkerry@minlib.net.
Well, I just want to thank Christine for a fantastic presentation.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad that you found this all useful. And there is so much more to your library than you might see when you come into the building. This is like our hidden library, and there's a lot there.